Do you ever wonder what are some clever ways or different ways that I can potentially reach out to that next generation? So I got my existing client now, and how do I reach out to their kids? And what are some good ways and strategic ways to do so? Well, in today's quick win segment, I want to discuss with you a very simple approach that will likely get you in front of the alpha child inside of the family dynamic within your client base. So stay with me. Enjoy this quick win segment here on the Financial Advisor Marketing Playbook.
This is the Financial Advisor Marketing Playbook, a show for financial advisors who want to explore the topic of client acquisition and business growth. Your host is Mark Mersman, Chief Marketing Officer at USA Financial. He is an investment advisor representative of and securities are offered through USA Financial Securities, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
So I want to share a quick story. This happened a few months ago, and was in a consulting session with an advisor, and we were talking about different challenges that their firm had, and specifically, kind of discussing paperwork. And one of the forms that we were discussing was the trusted contact form. And it was interesting because there was a little bit of grumbling, I guess I'll use that term, with this advisor around, sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain here or there. Occasionally, client doesn't always want to share certain information. And we started to talk about the trusted contact form. And he said, most of the time it's never an issue. And they go through the motions, they'll get the info. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I'm sure that you are, but the trusted contact form is essentially a form that financial institutions oftentimes will require for you to complete. And essentially what they're looking for is they're trying to get a sense from that client who a trusted contact is, a person that would be designated by the client that the financial advisor or the institution may contact in certain situations, things like concerns about financial exploitation, signs of diminished capacity or cognitive decline, perhaps an inability to reach the client, or maybe there's suspicious or unusual account activity. And it's interesting because throughout our conversation, what came of it was, let's turn what might be perceived by some as a negative into a marketing opportunity. And, one of the things that we talk about a lot with advisors is reaching the next generation. As your clients age, the importance of trying to retain those assets before they get passed on to kids, or as they get passed on to kids, and ultimately trying to create and establish some relationships with the children of your clients so that those assets will stay in house with you, as well as, gives you a chance to build relationships with the clients. And so what we talked about, and ultimately what this advisor has now done and put into practice, is as a part of the process of onboarding a new client, and in some cases you might want to go back to your existing clients and go through this process. But it's part of the process that once we go through that education of who a trusted contact is, we'll create a video that explains the nature of the trusted contact. But we want to have a reach out ahead of time. And obviously we want to get permission from the client to do so, but have a reach out ahead of time to introduce ourselves as the financial advisor who works with, your parents or your friend or whomever, whatever that relationship is with the trusted contact, and explain their role, explain, the role of the trusted contact, why it's important. We're trying to protect fraud, elder abuse, crisis communication challenges. You can speak to some of the regulatory compliance components that are associated with it and really turn it into a positive outreach for you. Oftentimes what you will find from the trusted contact is, in many cases, in many families, that is the alpha child. It might be the one that will ultimately take control of settling the estate. Oftentimes that's the person that your client is going to lean on for certain financial decisions or a second set of eyes on things. So in many cases, that person might be one of the most important people or persons in your client's life. And so the trusted contact form actually turns into a positive for you and a chance for you to connect with that next generation, or perhaps, it's going to be a sibling of a client or whatever it might be, to start to form a relationship and, get them into your world to explain who you are, what your role is with their loved one, and use that and leverage that as an opportunity to build that relationship there. So it's really simple. I think it's very important as you go through the education process to explain to them exactly what is involved with that role, understanding that, a trusted contact is not a power of attorney. There's only limited and specific situations that would really require you as the advisor to reach out. And it is more of a preventative tool, and that clients really can change or remove the trusted contact that they have on file at any time. But understanding and explaining to the existing client the role of the trusted contact, there can certainly be more than one. And you may, as an advisor, want to encourage that, so that you have other ways to connect with, that next generation, but also just having different relationships from within that family, so that you can do the best job for your client in the event that something like this were to happen that would require reaching out and connecting with a trusted contact. So certainly use that as an opportunity to start to bridge that conversation and that, ultimately that relationship with the next generation. So I would encourage you might even want to create a trusted contact form that is specific to your brand, your firm, that you just keep on file inside of your office. If you don't have that, maybe you want to make that as a marketing outreach opportunity for you during a slow time where you try to mop that up and get trusted contacts for every client that is a client of your firm. So trying to take what sometimes might be perceived as a negative or just an inconvenience for you and leverage it, turning it into a positive opportunity for you. Both, I think it's a great thing for your client. I think it's a great thing for the trusted contact to realize, oh, all right, this is the financial advisor. In the event that I get a call, here's what I should expect and what exactly is inbounds and what's out of bounds in terms of their role as a trusted contact. And then for you as the advisor, it gives you that next connection point or another connection point, perhaps a first connection point with that next generation or somebody that your client truly cares about and trusts. So leverage that opportunity, turning, kind of lemons into lemonade there. The trusted contact can be an awesome opportunity for you to use from a marketing standpoint. So cheers to that. Enjoy your day.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and are not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.